The access deer. Originally native to India, this cervid was gifted to the King of Hawaii back in the 1860s. Just a handful of deer were released back then, but a century and a half later, the population estimates on the island of Maui alone are between 30 and 50,000 animals. Now, the access deer typically move in herds, which can make hunting them very difficult because there are so many eyeballs looking for danger. But the people of Hawaii utilize the access deer as a high-quality protein source, and we're here to join in all that fun. We've gained access to some incredible property through our friends Steve and Daniel. Now, Steve has never hunted a day in his life, so he'll be shadowing me, while Daniel, who's just 16, but one of the best hunters I have ever come across, will be joining Jeffrey. Can us Michigan boys get acclimated to a new climate and close the distance on one of these gorgeous deer? Find out now. Welcome to the Greenway Outdoors. The Greenway Outdoors Greenway Gear Checklist is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here. For today's episode, we're going to be harvesting access deer, and here's what you'll need for today's Greenway Gear Checklist. Number 1, camouflage. Hunting a herd animal where so many eyes will be looking at you, you need every advantage you can get. So wearing camouflage and using distinct cover is a great way to get close. Number 2 isn't completely necessary, but I will tell you, really helpful in the right situation, and that's shooting sticks. Shooting sticks give you a stable shooting platform no matter where you are, and it can help you make a more ethical shot. Number 3, a rifle. Today, I'm going to be using a 270. Honestly, I enjoy using the 270 because it's a flat-moving trajectory bullet that has good impact power at long distances. I also like to use it because my dad just got a brand new one, and it's a lot easier than buying my own. Number 4, a knife. It's always important to have a knife while hunting, but when you're hunting in a tropical environment where you're going to need to clean your game quickly, having a knife accessible is super important. Now that we know what we need for today's Greenway Gear Checklist, join us on our trip. When we arrived at our house in Maui, we found a note with GPS coordinates on where to meet Steve and Daniel to sight in our guns after our flights. We grabbed the keys to the side-by-side and headed out in true Jeff and Kyle fashion. Oh, that's either Steve or we're in the very wrong area. He's right up here getting a target set up. Nice. I hope our guns didn't get bumped too bad. It does happen though on the flights.
With the flight, I think that we...
Don't mind me.
It's probably a good idea that we recheck.
I bumped my ankle just trying to walk here, so. Steve?
Hey, what's up?
Steve?
You guys found it all
Please
right.
be Steve. Please.
Mimic me in front of Steve. How you doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, we got the target all set up.
Kyle Green, nice to see you in person.
Good to see you. Yeah, what's up? Great to meet you. Yeah, welcome to Maui.
You got three, it looks like some kind of weird face you got going on in the target there.
Yeah, it's this rare Hawaiian creature that we're gonna be going after, the three-eyed elk, they call it.
Were you surprised we made it here? Because we saw we got your note in the cabin and then came on down, but I was like, who leaves GPS coordinates for us to find a way to get down here?
That was Daniel, that was all him.
Every time I see rainforests like this in the movies and they're on an island, they die.
Yeah, there's always a creature with like a face like this and they go,
That's what we're trying to represent right there. So we should put some rounds downrange at it. And
it looks very scary.
Yeah.
You drew well.
All right, let's get set up. Especially when traveling, it's very important to make sure your gun is perfectly sighted in before you hit the field to go after game. After we got to see the guns were hitting perfectly, it was time to go look for some deer and grab a snack along the way.
Right here, you see the vines up here?
Yeah?
And then the yellow fruit? It's a lily koi. They're super sweet.
Lily koi.
Right here?
Got one.
Yep.
If anybody's gonna get a fruit out of a tree, it's this Fruit Loop.
So do you just,
Yeah, so
Yep,
you cut it
go
open.
ahead.
Not
Bite
like
right
an
in.
apple, not like an apple. You cut it open and eat the inside.
really?
Like a pomegranate?
I am
It's got a yellow inside.
normally allergic to fruit, so I don't do a lot of cutting of fruit.
I can tell.
It's like my first time.
Aw.
Suck it out like
Break it in half first.
the pumpkin slime.
Break it in half. Break it in half. Give me half. Oh, that smells good. What does that smell like? Like a grapefruit, kind of? Smells like tangy.
It's like eating yummy boogers.
Yeah, that's really good.
It's a little tart. I'm allergic to raw fruit and vegetables, so we're gonna go ahead and roll the dice on this one, but I wanted to try it.
Enjoy hunting deer while going,
I took a Claritin and now Benadryl, and we should be good. Thanks for showing us that, that's cool.
No problem.
All right, let's head up. The Greenway Outdoors is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here. And by Ram Trucks, Motor Trend's back-to-back Truck of the Year. The Greenway Outdoors Hawaii Access Deer Conservation Corner. The access deer is native to India, but there is a thriving population in Hawaii on the islands of Molokai, Lanai, and Maui. Extensive research on access deer conservation in Hawaii will likely leave you puzzled because of the controversy and biased information behind it. You see, the axis deer reproduces year-round and have no natural predators in Hawaii, so their population numbers are pretty high. With finite resources on the islands, that can create issues for farmers and ranchers who have to deal with the axis deer eating their grass and crops. But on the flip side, the deer are an amazing protein source and have also helped the economy because it is legal for axis deer meat to be sold. So I will say this, after spending 8 days talking to locals and ranchers in Hawaii, I didn't meet anyone who didn't absolutely adore them, but they do all agree that the deer must be managed properly with hunting in order to protect the deer, the economy, and the delicate Hawaii ecosystem. And all the wonderful Hawaiians I met hunt with passion, pride, and resource sustainability in mind. Daniel, this is a beautiful setting.
Thank you.
Where exactly are we going to be hunting?
Okay, so you and Steve, you guys are going to be hunting on this side of our ranch. It's a little bit more, you could say, greener on this side of the ranch. We've
Okay.
had a little more rain on this side. Me and Jeff are going to be hunting on this side. It was a little drier this year on this side of the ranch.
Okay.
And it'll
He
be
has
a little
dry
more...
sense of humor, so that should work perfectly.
Ah,
for him.
funny, funny.
As opposed to your gross, wet sense of humor.
True. Okay, well, I'll go on the gross wet side.
Yep.
He'll go on the dry side over there, and we're starting at the top and then working our way down?
Yes, sir.
Good, I wanted to hike more. That's perfect. All right, so we'll get together, go on team.
Okay.
On 3, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Team. Oh.
You were the only one. In all honesty, when Daniel told me I'd be going to the lush green side and Jeff was going to the desert side, I thought I'd have the advantage. But Jeffrey's team ran into him first. Or I guess I should say, the deer ran into them. After the deer nearly pile-drive the team, Jeff got out on foot and went after him. Jeff knows he has to spring into action quickly. He's been on plenty of hunts where we haven't seen anything for weeks, so a rare opportunity to stumble upon an access deer quick is exciting and difficult. Jeff left the team behind to capture this angle. Meanwhile, him and Daniel are sneaking around the left side of the deer. It looks like they're noticing. The most difficult part for Jeff is making sure that the axis deer he's aiming at is the only one that could be possibly hit by his bullet, even if it passes through the animal. And finally, the big buck separates from the herd.
Got him, got him.
Taking the life of an animal to feed your family is a raw, primitive, real experience that you replay in your mind every time you eat it. And each harvest makes you appreciate the circle of life and the food on your plate that much more. You feel connected, like you're a part of it all. And when Jeff eats this deer, he'll remember the difficult stalk and the new friend he made in the paradise that is Hawaii.
You're a bad dude, Daniel.
Thank you.
All right.
The Greenway Outdoors is brought to you by Ram Trucks, Motor Trend's back-to-back Truck of the Year, and by Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here. It's day 2 of our axis deer hunt, and I have switched up hunting areas because of Jeff's quick success yesterday. The terrain is red, powdery dirt with steep cliffs the locals call gulches. On our way into high country, we spotted a herd of deer. Every single step I took on this hunt, I felt like I was cherishing a once-in-a-lifetime moment. I was in Hawaii, and I was pursuing one of the most beautiful deer on the planet, and I was closing in. But around every corner, it seemed like there was a piece of history waiting for us, including this man-made rock wall that was probably laid hundreds of years ago.
It's weird to think that this rock has been here for hundreds of years probably, and was laid here by somebody who's definitely not alive anymore. But just the history of being around it is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
The island's covered in history.
Yeah.
And it feels like on the mainland,
feel
as
the
we
energy
say.
sometimes, you know, in the different areas. Yeah,
Definitely.
Very.
Like in the mainland, like everything's built over and bulldozed and
Yeah.
what's new. But this is something pretty cool. All right, let's go try and find something else. Let's go get some deer.
There we go. Right there. Straight down.
I knew there was. You can just see the antlers. You see him moving. No. I don't know if he's gonna come up this way, but I just saw the antlers. Did you see him? I don't see him. You see him? He was right there. I just saw the antlers sticking above that ridge line. I think we should move closer, yeah.
Blood.
Yeah, it is. Look at how red that is. It's like magenta. All right, and he ran up this path, like
Yeah,
the path.
he went straight that way.
I feel like I hit him good, and he ran straight this way. So
You hit him and he took off straight, yeah.
So here's the impact. I'm him. I would go up this path. All right, let's try it. Look for blood right along the path here.
All right.
You got that side, I got this side. What happens, Steve, in these situations, a lot of people, is they'll be like, oh, it makes sense for him to go up there, and then they'll start walking up there. Then they're looking for stuff up there. You go blood to blood. So you're very specific and keen on what's happening with the animal, because you drift away and then you can't find the blood that you had originally. Then you're all turned around. You know what I mean? This is an important step to learn how to hunt for sure. The blood trail literally led off this cliff, and we pushed him. Probably chased him too soon. We're trying to keep it before it gets dark.
Any real hunter that is inclined to tell the truth has had an experience like this one. You shot an animal and it didn't play out perfectly, so you have to catch up to him and finish the job as humanely and quickly as possible.
It was insane. Shot him way back where we saw him. And he ran through here, and then after being shot, tumbled down all this, get caught up. And I came up to him, and it looked like he might be moving again. So I just shot him again, and now he's down. But man, did I guess did he pick a place for us to have to pack an animal out? But my heart, I mean, wow. With where he is, getting across to him is going to be harder. If we go up and actually come back down on top of him, that might be easier. Looks like it's like 60 feet probably. Steve's got the 4x4, the off-road vehicle. They call it a bike here. What? A bike? Maybe they don't have bikes. I have not seen one person on a bike. That might actually be the case. All right, let's try and get up and get down. Scuff up my dad's new gun. Oh, this is not easy. This lighting, when it's pink like this, I always thought that like, it's so peaceful and so calming and so warm that I feel like this is the lighting that's gonna be in heaven. Because you just can't help but feel good. It's like that pink tint for like 10 minutes a day. In Hawaii, it seems to be a lot longer.
On today's episode, we harvested axis deer. The scenery was beautiful and the hunts were interesting. Jeff got to spend time having fun with Daniel, and Steve and I bonded over a nerve-wracking hunt and an extremely difficult pack out of my deer. It took us a couple hours of switching back and forth, dragging with our producer Ryan. Getting that deer off the side of the mountain felt like an amazing accomplishment, but recruiting Steve into hunting is a bigger one. We have another soldier in the fight to further conservation. This experience reminds me of the command Jesus gave us. Go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and teach them to obey my commands, and that I am with you always, till the very end. For today's recipe, we're going to be cooking up orange venison. For this recipe and many others, visit thegreenwayoutdoors.com.
There's a lot of different ways you can break down axis deer in any deer. Now, these cuts right here are from the hindquarters, and the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to cut the deer so that you can make it as tender as possible, breaking up the lines in the meat. It's gonna be an awesome orange, powerfully flavored venison recipe that you're gonna enjoy. Let's get started.
When looking at a rump steak, you want to look at the lines in the meat, and you want to cut your steaks across those lines so that they're broken up as much as possible. This will mean smaller steaks, but also means more tender steaks. Then take those venison strips and soak them in salt water overnight. Rinse them off thoroughly and then put them in a bowl. Add the soy sauce and then the cornstarch and mix thoroughly. Make sure you put the soy sauce in first. If you don't, the cornstarch and soy sauce will make some sort of cement and really ruins everything. Not that I've ever done that. Once the mixing's complete, set aside for later. Next, you'll combine your orange juice, molasses, 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar, sesame oil, and remaining soy sauce. Stir it up and then heat oil in a large pot or deep fryer to 375 degrees. Now let's move back over to the meat. I prefer to use peanut oil and I let it cook for 6 to 8 minutes. While that's cooking, you'll add your jalapenos and orange peels with a little bit of olive oil to a skillet over medium heat. Once aromatic, add the ginger, garlic, and red pepper flake. Cook for about 1 to 2 minutes. Next, you'll add your soy sauce and orange juice mixture to the skillet. Combine and cook. It should thicken after about 1 minute. After that, pour it over the venison and garnish with scallions and serve.
Man, that smells fantastic. You know, whether you're in Texas, whether you're in Hawaii, wherever you go to harvest this beautiful axis deer, one thing is always the same. Everyone says that this meat is the least gamey and the best tasty of all venison there is. And with a pineapple chaser, I'd have to agree, because oh my gosh, the full flavor, and that sauce is the perfect mix of salty and sweet. I know you're gonna enjoy it. You can tell someone they're eating beef and they will not know the difference. What a tasty, clean, organic, non-antibiotic, amazing meat that you can get out in the outdoors, whether you're in Texas or Hawaii. Check it out. Check out this recipe for all different types of venison. Thanks so much for tuning in. Stay green.